are watching the Tuesday night edition of Chicago Corner. Woo!
Welcome to Taco Tuesday! Who wants a taco?
You ready to eat some tacos, bro? You ready to eat some tacos, bro?
All right, everyone. Act normal. Perfect.
Oh my God! It's Taco Tuesday!
I don't feel it's my place to tell people how much they should drink.
And there are ants in my whiskey.
They add flavor, Kira. Is that
man,
like the worm in tequila?
Have you seen my whiskey ants anywhere?
That's okay. That's okay. The show will go on, everybody.
Speaking of inflatable meat wads.
Happy Taco Tuesday.
Hit it. That's good.
Evening, Chicago, and everyone else watching this channel. I am Deep Dish Pizza enthusiast Edward Heller, and welcome to a Tuesday edition, a Taco Tuesday edition. Ooh, it's a Pizza Taco Tuesday edition of Chicago Corner. And we've got some things to talk to you about tonight. Well, I mean, you know, if we didn't have things to talk to you about tonight, I mean, why the hell would you be here, right? We got stuff to talk about. And I'm bringing in my best co-host, well, my only co-host at this point, Jerry Vasilatos.
Your best co-host. Well, next to Kira, of course.
Yeah, well, when Kira's here, she's always the best at everything.
I got to give you a quick heads up. Your video was kind of blocky. Your upstream might be a little bit challenge tonight, so just in case, be aware. The upstream looked a little bad on your end.
Okay, if you guys out in the, welcome to everybody out in the live chat. If you notice that one or all of our video thingies are getting weird, by all means, give us a shout and let us know what's going on, because we'll try to make adjustments. In the meantime, what I'm going to have to do, because it looks like I'm already having signal issues with that lovely Comcast Xfinity service.
Crap excrement.
Yes, what Jerry said, that I may have to activate. Actually, right now, I'm going to turn on the hotspot for my mobile network so that I have a backup when the Wi-Fi goes kaflooey in about 5 seconds.
Let's see what's going on over here. See him?
See, Oreo's waiting to jump in right when the
no. He's waiting to pounce into my pizza slice I have.
Oh, okay, yeah, because you know, while it is Taco Tuesday, you know, if you fold pizza a certain way, it could be a taco.
I got to start eating it now, or he's going to get to it real quickly. Cheers to everyone on the live chat and Ed. Got my libations here. I'm waiting on my Laser Eye Me and Laser Eye Oreo pint glass that I ordered the other day, so we'll be able to share those soon.
Ooh, that's going to be sweet. Yeah, we're working on more merch for the merch store. If you guys want to see what's up there now, you can head over to chicagocornertv.com/shop, and it'll bring you over to our fourth wall shop.
He seems to be content with the pizza crumbs, so I think I'm safe.
All right, for now.
Well, I only got one piece for dinner, so once this is gone, we'll be fine.
Yeah, so hello to everybody in the chat. We got Kathy Powers, Extra Bullet, Uncle Warren, good to see you. He says, I had taquitos. Does that count? I said, yes, it does. Big Mr. Firebird. Why is my scrolling not working here? What's going on, computer? Big Mr. Firebird is watching us from the UK and says it's nearly 2 a.m. over there. Hope you can hang in with us this evening, but if you need to watch us on the replay, we understand. Where Pilgrim, good to see you.
Apologies for the late start. It's my fault. I got caught in traffic. Didn't have enough time to get the show set up or eat dinner. So I hate to eat in front of people, but I literally had 15 minutes to get the show set up, social invites sent out, and not keep Ed waiting. So that's my fault, everyone. Sorry.
I ran out of gas. I had a flat tire. I didn't have enough money for cab fare. My tux didn't come back from the cleaners. An old friend came in from out of town. Someone stole my car. There was an earthquake. A terrible flood. Locust. It wasn't my fault, I swear to God.
I'm blaming the locusts myself.
It's true, but where's my Carrie Fisher? To hold a submachine gun in my face for all of my excuses.
Yeah, it was amazing that they got her to do that.
Well, she and Dan Aykroyd, I think, were dating at the time too. Well, I think I know what some of that relationship had to do with, but I'm just going to leave it at that.
No,
more with John. She was friends with John, dating Danny. I think. I don't think Danny was into the nose candy as much as John and Carrie were. But
yeah, that reminds me that Carrie Fisher wasn't she in that Amazon Women on the Moon sketch that was a takeoff of the marijuana, the Say No to Marijuana thing that they did back in the 40s or whatever.
Carrie Fisher was a tasty dish then and up through her untimely passing. What a spirit she was. She was just, bold, brash, had no filter, didn't give a shit. I can kind of relate on some of that. As far as not giving a shit, but what a great role. I don't know. It wasn't just because she was pretty as Princess Leia. It's because she was take charge and she was really cool in the original Star Wars movies. And then, she had a really amazing, prolific career as a script doctor, as a writer, and as a personality. So John and Danny were very lucky to have her in the Blues Brothers. By the way, real quickly, we have lost another Blues Brothers alumni. Paul Rubens passed away this week, who had the scene in the Chez Paul as the maitre d' in the original Blues Brothers. So I didn't see it in the show notes. So I wanted to quickly.
I got him at the end of the show there. I had a little video. I was going to.
We'll save that for then.
Yeah, he was also in Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, the original movie. So he was in a lot of things other than having been. Oh, we can talk about him for a minute.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Sorry, I jumped the gun.
Paul. It's fine. Paul Rubens. Most people know him as Pee Wee Herman. He originally had a show he was performing that was Pee Wee's Playhouse. It was made for adults, and HBO actually had him record it for their new cable channel. And so you used to be able to watch this thing. When I was a kid back in the 80s, they would show that thing all the time. And it wasn't really meant for kids, but it was masquerading as a kids show.
Yeah.
And it worked so that, then it became so popular, or he found a way to make it popular enough to make a movie and a television show. I don't remember. Was it the TV show came first? I think the movie came first, Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
I'm not sure which, but the TV show was a spinoff from the cable special, which kids would watch. But Yeah, it was thinly veiled. I mean, it was adult humor that you could get away with showing kids. But the great thing about the Saturday morning Pee-wee's Playhouse was parents could enjoy it with their kids. You know, minus that one little edge that was there in the humor on the HBO special. And I wasn't a kid when Pee-wee's Playhouse came on, but I enjoyed tuning into it because it was Pee-wee, and you had Pee-wee's Big Adventure and the HBO show. So his humor was cross-generational.
So I guess
the show did have Phil Hartman too.
Yeah, Phil Hartman. It had a lot, and was it Lawrence Fishburne played? What the hell was his name?
Cowboy Bob.
Cowboy Curtis.
Cowboy Curtis.
Yeah. So had quite a few guest stars in that show that we don't have time to research a name tonight, but maybe another time we can talk about that. But tonight we got all kinds of things going on. We're kind of sort of wrapping up this story, but there's really some more information that we don't have. Because
Ed, I'm shocked as you go into this first story.
Yeah. So, you remember they had a NASCAR race in Chicago, shut down a whole bunch of streets and stuff, did all kinds of special construction and road work and all stuff, and wreaked all kinds of havoc on Chicago traffic while we were already dealing with the fact that they're doing construction on the Kennedy Expressway.
All at the behest of.
You can't blame all of this on me. Yes, we can.
She left the mess. She left the big mess.
So this comes from the Southside Weekly. From Jim Daly, who posts a lot on Twitter. If you're not following Jim Daly on Twitter, what the hell is the matter with you? He gives you all kinds of updates on a lot of stuff going on in Chicago. And here I'm pleased to see that he's publishing stuff in the Southside Weekly. So the title says, NASCAR cost Chicago millions in road work and overtime.
What was it? A $500,000 license? Maybe it's in the article.
There's information in the article on this. CDOT work and police overtime for the street race add up to more than $3 million, and this was from the 28th. And I'm flip to my next tab here so I can read it. The city spent at least $3.25 million on. Do we have that clip on this tab? I don't know if I have him on. I don't think I have him on the Tuesday tab.
I'm going to default to the Friday because we have more.
Okay, but
there, and then I'll let you go to Tuesday if there's something specific that you like. How much was it?
$3.25 million.
$1 million.
Times 3.25. So, not too bad of a delay on your microphone so far, Jerry. It's only give you a couple seconds, and it gives you time to eat your pizza, so it works out well. City spent at least $3.25 million on the 2023 NASCAR Chicago street race, according to a preliminary analysis by The Weekly. That figure includes more than $2.1 million spent on repairs to the streets that made up the race course and an estimated $1.1 million in police overtime associated with the race.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it certainly is a lot of money. The final tally, which could include additional costs such as traffic management, will likely be even higher.
Now you know where all the pothole repair money went, Ed.
Yeah. Although I have noticed on my commute that some potholes are getting patched. It's just they're still not they're not. I'm like, just send some roving teams down every main north, south, and east-west road with eyes out, specifically looking for road damage and potholes, and take an inventory.
You're going to need a lot of crews, Ed, that have got shark eyes.
You know the thing about a shark? He's got lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eyes. When he comes at you, doesn't seem to be living. until he bites you. And those black eyes roll over white, and then... Oh, then you hear that terrible high-pitched screaming.
Make an excellent point there, Jerry. Lori's not doing anything. Maybe she can go and help spot the potholes.
We need to make as much use of our Lori drop-ins, especially when it has to do with stories that are related to the leftover garbage that our current administration is still cleaning up.
It's the aftermath.
Yeah.
And, and then, of course, we're going to be probably getting into what the current administration is or is not currently doing as well a little bit later.
Lori Palooza.
How long has it been since Mayor Johnson's been inaugurated? Are we at the 100? So we're not quite at the 100-day mark yet.
Was it late?
Are we?
May or so we're 2 months in from the beginning of July. No, maybe it's 3 months. I might look. My math.
No, we might be close to the 100 days though.
Okay.
I mean, that's a mark. That's a milestone that I'm hoping he's going to step up his game for if we're getting close to that.
Yeah.
And I'll speak to that in a little bit. But right now we're talking about NASCAR, which is Lori's aftermath. One of many things. NASCAR's 2 days of street races and an accompanying music festival over the July 4th weekend shut down portions of Grant Park and the surrounding streets for weeks as crews prepped the event site. Former Mayor Lori Lightfoot landed the deal with NASCAR in 2022, but did not seek city council approval for it, and some alderpersons blasted that decision. Alderman Brendan Riley, whose 42nd ward includes parts of the loop, called Lightfoot's secretive deal ham-handed and criticized her lack of transparency. NASCAR's contract is for 3 years. 3 years, Jerry. Oh my God.
3 long years.
But it allows either the city or the car racing company to cancel it. Really?
Mayor Johnson over here.
All right. I mean,
I wonder if this will help influence it, though, now that all of these financials have been disclosed. I hope.
Now,
we don't want it here anymore. It costs too much money to attend, number one. It's not for the regular people. It's for all the elites drinking their wine and eating their cheese up in the stands. It costs the city more money than they were charged for it. And it's just a pain in the ass all 4th of July weekend. So on those merits alone, the mayor ought to really re-examine this.
Well,
and say,
plus I don't know how much, and I don't know how much NASCAR's really gonna want to keep doing it anyway, because this was supposed to be a special event for their 75th anniversary.
Well, then why'd they ask for a 3-year deal then? That's unless
I don't know. I don't know, but I'm just saying that, if NASCAR was given the option to not do it anymore, and the city was also given that option, that maybe someone already knew it was only going to be a one and done, and that they wanted to make it seem a little more of a sweetheart deal than it was. But even though NASCAR was required to pay the Chicago Park District a $500,000 fee in the first year, along with 15% of concessions and $2 for each ticket sold in its first year. Ticket prices started at $269.
Oh, please. I can afford that. What was that, like standing behind the stands in front of you?
I don't even know.
That's the view for the cheapest tickets.
And I don't know if that included any of the concerts, but I would hope so. But although they had to cancel most of them, the weather did not cooperate during that weekend. And
it was a sign.
It was amazing that they even got the race going at all on that Sunday. So, even if they had the best weather possible, I have a feeling that that the city would still be in the hole for this, just because of the lousy deal.
Are they? Does the article go into more financials?
Well, I don't think. Let me read the rest of it, because I don't think so. The fee is slated to increase to $550,000 in 2024 and $605,000 in 2025. That's peanuts. Although I could use 50 grand right now if you guys are just, throwing money at people, Chicago.
Well, it's not just peanuts, Ed.
This is such a crock of shit.
Yes. NASCAR hasn't released information on the number of tickets sold or concession revenue. So we don't even know. We don't know how much money NASCAR or the city raked in on this yet. Something's telling me that it's going to come in pretty low.
Yep.
So, according to the document, CDOT provided the street work alone cost $2.15 million.
All right, so there's a benefit on the back end. At least the streets were repaired. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what damage. Yeah. But wait a minute. Were the repairs the result of the NASCAR wear and tear, or they fixed the street for NASCAR and now we're going to benefit from the streets being fixed?
I think it's both, because they did have to make sure that the roads were drivable for NASCAR cars, and you can be certain there are parts of downtown that weren't ready for this, and so having taken all the barriers down and all that other stuff, maybe the roads are in better condition now than they were before, but still, that's downtown. That downtown was going to get priority on road repairs anyway, because that's just what the city does. They want those roads good for tourists, so Uber and Lyft can take their cars and drive people around to all the expensive places downtown. Uncle Warren says Lori is a pothole. Big Mr. Firebird says, I'm patenting the new Lightfoot fender. Nothing will impact on it or stick to it.
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. You will stop speaking. You will stop speaking. You're full of crap. And that's the nicest thing that I can say.
Yep. All right, was I done with this article? Let me see. What was there more in there? Here we go. The expenditures were all for work in preparation for the event. No additional roadway repairs were needed as a result of the race, according to CDOT. Okay, that's good news.
So they say.
Yeah.
Much of that. To trust them and believe them?
I don't know. I mean, and who knows if all the money that was supposed to go for road prep or road repair actually went where it needed to go. But that's just me speculating. Much of that, nearly $1.8 million, was listed as, quote, engineering costs related to concrete pavement and landscape work on streets and sidewalks along the racetrack before the race. CDOT replaced the curb and sidewalk on the west side of Columbus Drive, resurfaced and repaved roadways, and installed bus pads for the event. The total budget allocated to CDOT's engineering division for 2023 is $7.87 million. The NASCAR-related work ate up about 23% of that division's annual budget.
That's a lot of money.
NASCAR isn't on the hook for any of that.
Of course not.
The only cost recovery stipulations NASCAR is responsible for are in the Park District permit, which requires NASCAR to pay for any damage to Park District property. According to CDOT, you want to say something, Jerry?
How hard is it for the average motorist to file a claim with the city of Chicago when they suffer damage to their car because of potholes and all kinds of infrastructure that hasn't been repaired? I've not done that, but I've heard in the past it's very difficult and it's very time consuming, and you'll be lucky if you get a response board. But if you're NASCAR, hey,
like most claims that you have to deal with the city, you have to be very persistent, and you have to probably have more time on your hands than most people have. Priorities in order to file these claims. I busted a wheel on my car back when Rom was mayor, and I was, it was too much of a hassle to try to get him to pay me the $300 I had needed for a new wheel.
I'll cover this in a future broadcast, but it's kind of related. I went out to lunch with a friend of mine, parked at the meter, had my yellow handicap sign. I'm disabled. I'm allowed to park at a meter. Of course, I got a ticket. So I requested not to contest by mail, but I requested an in-person hearing so I could bring pictures of everything and basically shame them on the record. I got the request to hearing in on time, took pictures, had the receipt. Of course, I got something in the mail that said I didn't respond to them fast enough, so now I'm liable for the $100 ticket. And I wrote them back and I said, yeah, no, this is bullshit. Here, and that's exactly what I wrote, Ed. I know, people say, it'll be nicer. No. I shared a photograph of the envelope that I took at the post office with the postmark on it, and I said, I responded to this specifically so I could come to court and shame you all in person because this ticket should have never been issued, and I shouldn't even have to be here. But for your information, here's a copy of my placard, and here's a copy of the Illinois state law so that I can come into court and ask you, do your revenue collectors issuing tickets need glasses, or you just don't train them well enough that you're wasting my time as a disabled person to have to come down here and tell you how to do your fucking jobs? It's very much in line with every roadblock that's put up. Anytime you do everything right with this city, when they're trying to squeeze every last penny out of you for horse shit, whether it's the potholes or whether it's like you're parked legally and their parking meter maids have to hit a quota to make sure to squeeze an extra $100 out of you, even though it's completely unlawful. So I'm waiting to see if they're going to respond to me or get me that court date that I know I responded to in person. And you know what, by the way, Ed, I don't know if we can do this. I was hoping maybe if it's on a day I could have you available to come to court and tape it or shoot video.
So record it.
See what happens in the court, so I can publicly tell them, hey, why am I here?
If they let you shoot video, I mean, if I'm standing up visibly shooting video of you, they may kick me out.
They might, but the point being, it's we're not the only ones who go through this. And bringing this all the way back over to NASCAR, they're not responsible. The rest of us, you damage your car, the city decides they're going to throw a ticket at you and hope that you just don't want to fight it. So you write a check to them or you pay your repairs without any kind of, look at him, without any kind of recovery for your damages because they're failing in maintaining the infrastructure. It's all priorities. Well, at least under Lightfoot, it didn't matter, but we still got some time to see what this administration is going to do.
Yeah, I hope they start stepping on the gas though, because there's some things that are just starting to bug me about the lack of action in certain things and how they're dealing with other things. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Okay. According to CDOT, there aren't any race-related repairs needed for the streets or sidewalks that NASCAR might be liable for. The damage assessment to the park district is still pending. Now, if I were the park district, I would make sure that they reimburse them for any damage done to the trees or the plants that got covered or displaced because of all the stands that they put in. Because
Lori promised wouldn't be disturbed too. That was an issue ahead of time. And you were the one who reported and shared pictures when they were shared on social media, how the stands were.
Yeah, because they were just built them right on top of trees and stuff. And I'm like, those trees are not going to get the kind of light and water that they need. And they're going to turn brown. And some of those are probably going to die.
And they were damaging the tree trunks and stuff.
So I'm curious to know, we may have to do a tree follow-up to see if the NASCAR tree survived. But yeah, the park district should be definitely staying on top of that. And you're going to love this. More than 1,000 Chicago cops earned overtime duty related to NASCAR. Data the weekly obtained from CPD via FOIA showed that 1,034 officers were credited with 21,532 hours of overtime, labeled NASCAR Chicago street race
Why is
in the
FOIA
department's timekeeping system.
why is FOIA required to disclose something like that? Why would you want to hide
Yeah,
that?
that should be publicly available information.
Why such a struggle to find out how much extra overtime did the cops make on top of all the rest of the money that we're shoveling in to CPD to stop crime?
For the typical reason that the people in positions of power think that they have some kind of privilege that keeps them from having to tell you what they're doing. Sorry, that game's over. We're done with that. We need transparency now, real transparency, not the fake Lightfoot transparency, the real one. Okay.
We could move on to the next story.
Yeah, let's move on to the next story. I mean, because at this point, it's just, we heard about the overtime. We got a general idea on how much the city has spent so far, but we still don't have all the answers. We don't know how much money they pulled in. We don't know how much of NASCAR's money that the city's going to get a cut of, or so that's it. We're going to have to follow up on this again. So anyway, I'm going to flip back over to the Tuesday really quick here, because I have a video I'm going to play.
I also
because I know I'm going to get frustrated by something.
I also have a screen up for Rockfin comments, so I can share those if they come in.
Okay, great. Time for the next story. And oh wait, hold on, I'm too far ahead of myself. Speaking of I didn't even call it a boondoggle, but speaking of boondoggles, yeah, this has annoyed me in what I was talking about. This comes from Gregory Pratt over on Twitter, is retweeting Nell Salzman.
Saw this today.
It says the Johnson administration moved migrants out of the police station for Lala and threw away their stuff.
Not good.
They'd previously decompressed the station for NASCAR too, according to Gregory Pratt. Now here's Nell Salzman with a video. It says hundreds of migrants were cleared out of the 1st District Police Station this morning in advance of Lollapalooza, volunteers say. Migrants couldn't fit their belongings on the city bus, so officials threw everything away.
They've done this with homeless encampments too, Ed, throughout the city of Chicago in the past.
They couldn't just get
disrespect.
They couldn't just get a flat trailer and then haul it to a storage place temporarily until they could figure out, if these people needed that stuff or they could repurpose those things. Shouldn't we be recycling things and reusing things instead of wasting stuff?
Would have been too logical.
Okay, so it says mattresses, food, backpacks, children's toys, and apparently a shopping cart. Okay, I'm stopping it really quick just so I can say, are you freaking kidding me?
This is bullshit.
Who puts a shopping cart into a trash compactor?
A perfectly working shopping cart.
Who's the moron who thinks, hey, this is a good idea. Let's put a shopping cart that was probably borrowed from a local grocery store into a garbage compactor?
Because they could. Because there was also, look, some perverse thrill with getting rid of everybody's belongings, what little they had to carry on their backs and acquire here. There's a lot of anti-migrant sentiment throughout the city right now, Ed, especially as we saw on social media. I shared, I don't know if it's in the show notes, maybe we'll talk about it Friday, but the South and West Side communities are
there are
really
some conservative people of color who are having.
I don't even know if it's but I don't even know if it's a conservative matter, Ed. Yeah, there are. Those are the ones who are most vocal, and I don't blame them. But I think that every person of color has a right to care.
Well, there's legitimate concerns as well.
Yeah. And that's
but we've said in the past, and others have said, look, we shouldn't be pitting groups against each other like this. It's not the migrants' fault. that people don't have support in the South and the West sides or anywhere else.
Well, and nor is it the neighbor's responsibility to pick up the slack, because the city hasn't provided those neighborhoods the support and the services, job training, job opportunities, mental health support, and everything else that they're suddenly giving to migrants. And yeah, it shouldn't be we don't give it to migrants if we don't get it. The demand should be we all need it. But unfortunately, it's devolved into because they're getting it and we're not, they got to go. And this just speaks to the way that they divide everybody against each other, while those at the top are laughing their asses off while sitting on their fat asses, keeping all the money and relying on the distractions.
Yeah.
But as far as this guy who's throwing a shopping cart into the dumpster, people know better, and I can't help but wonder or speculate if this was just some kind of perverse thrill that they could get rid of all the extra belongings that these people have because of all the anti-migrant sentiment. That's and what what happens a lot too is that people that's like they just have a job, they're told to do a job. They basically compartmentalize the part of their brain that lets them realize that this is somebody's stuff. This is someone else's belongings, and maybe we should think twice before throwing them into a garbage truck. Yep.
Now, video is pretty short. I mean, it doesn't give full context to all the stuff that got actually thrown away versus what may or may not have been transported elsewhere. But it's a really bad look for the Johnson administration. And I like Big Mr. Fireman's comment. I hope Brandon Johnson does better.
I can think of better candidates for that compactor. I've seen Goodfellas. We all have, and we all can.
Yeah. So, and then I guess we'll move on to this. It's annoying to me. And I thought we were going to get into the Joe Biden stuff, but we're not there yet. We haven't gotten that far in my show notes, and I keep jumping around on my tabs here. But let me get to the next story here really quick. Oh, and there's actually video. Son of a gun. Okay, maybe we'll play that video, but I'm going to load this tab here from News Nation. Illinois law.
This is kind of crazy.
Kind of, but it says Illinois law lets non-citizens apply to be police officer. Okay.
Well, we don't have any citizens here who you can allow to be police officers.
I think that's beside the point. I think this is them.
Yeah, but Ed, this speaks to when people talk about migrants and quote unquote illegals coming here and stealing jobs. Law enforcement's a pretty well-paying job that they should make more available to the people here who are citizens. Look, I'm not right or left, man. I'm being objective, and this speaks to my understanding. How am I going to argue to people who claim that migrants are coming here stealing everybody's high-paying jobs when in the past it's been migrants basically taking slave labor jobs from corporations that don't want to pay Americans a fair living wage? And then we read this, but let's listen to the story and we can discuss it more after.
Yeah, because we also have comments from people on the internet as well. Non-citizens who are legally authorized to work in the United States will be able to apply to be a police officer in Illinois under a new law signed by Governor J.B. Pritzker last week.
More votes for Democrats.
HB 3751 goes into effect January 1st, 2024. The legislation sponsor State Rep. Barbara Hernandez, a Democrat, said 2 categories of people can get hired: recipients of the Deferred Action Childhood Arrivals, or DACA, and permanent residents who are on their way to gaining citizenship, according to WRSP.
Ed, I have to interject here before I forget, okay? I don't mean to interrupt you, but you know what? We need critical infrastructure repair in this city, in this country, and it shouldn't be for slave wages. If you want to offer migrants an opportunity at citizenship and a job, they don't need to be indoctrinated into law enforcement culture, which already is there's too much money pouring into anyway. Why doesn't it make sense to perhaps, I don't know, figure out if there's a way to offer a lot of these incoming migrants a shot at citizenship, construction jobs, infrastructure jobs, and again, not at slave wages, at a fair paying rate that, although I'm sure a lot of American construction workers would complain about that also, but that's where we critically need workers. We don't need more police officers. And the idea that they're going to recruit migrants to fill more law. I mean, that's what I've read from this article. This is one of the articles. Actually, I saw some stuff on social media ahead of our show notes today. I'm thinking to myself, no, there are a lot of other jobs that I would love to see given to migrants that are far more important than filling up our law enforcement ranks.
Okay. I can see that point of view, and I'm just going to say this is more of a technical thing to come into parity with other things that exist, like military service and other types of government public service. Okay, that's why they passed this. Okay,
put your life on the line and go to war, and you might not come back, so we don't even have to fulfill our promise of citizenship.
Well, my scrolling is all over the place right now, but I wanted to get to the further
ads?
down on this thing. I wanted to get further down into this article because obviously, because a Democrat passed this, there's pushback from Republicans. Because
I
the
think
kayfabe duopoly can't do anything without complaining about the other side.
But you know what? If conservatives presented this ad, the Democrats would do the same thing. This is not a red or blue issue. It's not a red or blue issue. No. It's a common sense issue.
All right. Well, here it says, still the bill received criticism, including from Colorado Republican Rep Lauren Boebert, who slammed the bill on Twitter. Says
former escort Lauren Boebert. No offense to sex workers.
Come on. Can I read this? Come on. Yes, you heard that right. People who are breaking the law by their presence here can now arrest American citizens, she said. You know, the other blue states are watching and getting ready to implement this idea as soon as they can. That was my Lauren Boebert impression. I have no idea if that was
pretty
accurate.
Good. Close.
Okay. Illinois Fraternal Order of Police said in a statement to KHQA that the law sends the wrong message. Quote, this is a potential crisis of confidence in law enforcement at a time when our officers need all the public confidence they can get. Now, they're quoting the FOP, but I think they're quoting FOP Lodge 7. So it's not all Fraternal Order of Police orgs that have a problem with this. It's just Catanzara and some of the guys in there. But although I understand, I see how it might not look.
You know, Arturo shares.
How do you say
the only solution is to hire all these migrants for the slave jobs, and if they work for 5 years straight and remain lawful, they can have guaranteed citizenship. But that's not going to happen. I don't think that we should be defining it nor condoning them to what slave labor. That's just inhumane. I mean, it should be. So labor that's physical labor, so long as you don't have the element of like working people to death.
Now here's the dog whistle portion of the story from DeSantis. It says, to the left, citizenship is meaningless. He wrote on Twitter, no illegal alien, he says, should have authority over any American citizen. It is sad commentary on the state of America that this is even a debate. However, the governor said critics of the law are misrepresenting its language. And I've got a video. Do I have the video? What did I do with the video? Hold on, here it is. Okay, I had this stuff out of order.
Yeah, but Art, that's what it is, low paying. If you're talking about infrastructure and construction, I think a lot of Chicagoans who work in construction would disagree. It's hard, manual, back-breaking labor, but even construction workers have unions that protect their rights and protect them from it being a slave labor type of situation where it's dangerous and they don't have the rights to like work normal hours. If you're going to assign this kind of work, it should be humane, not what you define as
I think, yeah, but I think they should be doing other jobs. Argument is kind of missing the point in what this legislation does. And here's Governor Pritzker responding to probably William Kelly, if I had to guess, because they didn't play the question in this video. Whoever it was using the charged language saying illegal immigrants, and so he got a little mad about that.
JD could fill many potholes, big Mr. Firebird.
That's false. Yeah, I appreciate you asking the question because, as usual, the far right is proposing or putting out their false information. They're saying that we're allowing illegal immigrants is the word that they would use. Undocumented immigrants are not allowed to become police officers in the state of Illinois still. What we have allowed is legal permanent residents and DACA recipients now to become police officers. So,
Ed, I didn't understand that. In all of the social media commentary, this is the first time I'm understanding he's talking about legal ones in DACA, because everything I've seen on social media seems to suggest it's illegal migrants, which is what I've been arguing against because of the false narrative I've been seeing spread around on social media. So
that's why I was trying to get to this, because I'm like,
but that's okay. But I mean, they're legitimate.
That's what happens is they get one guy in the K5 duopoly throwing out his dog whistles, and then it becomes 10,000 times louder on social media, and they pass all of it back and forth, and then
fiction becomes
fact. It's like the worst game of the game of telephone that people used to play when they were kids, where you would have a whole bunch of kids sitting next to each other, and you'd have one person whisper a word in the person next to them's ear, and then they would whisper another word, and it would go all the way down the line to the end of the person who's maybe 20, 30 feet away, and their word would be completely different from the word that the first person said.
This is how I've always speculated biblical scripture has been carried on through the generations. But Art says hotel workers, cleaners, factory work, all low-paying jobs. Yeah, Art, I can agree with that. I wouldn't call those slave labor jobs, though. I would call them manual labor jobs. You don't want them to be manual labor where there's, it's punitive like a slave job. But that I can get behind. But as Ed just helped fill in, there has been a narrative that has suggested, even when I was reading stuff on social media before Pritzker just defined what this is all about, that it's migrants who are undocumented, illegal, and not going through the process of becoming citizens. So
yeah, it's even in the legislation. I highlighted it here. It says an individual. Well, they repeat this in a number of places in the amended legislation. It says an individual who is not a citizen but is legally authorized to work in the United States under federal law, or is an individual against whom immigration action has been deferred by the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services under the federal DACA process, is authorized to apply for the position of police officer, subject to all requirements and limitations other than citizenship to which other applicants are subject, and the individual being authorized under federal law to obtain, carry, or purchase otherwise possess a firearm. So there's a bunch of hurdles in there, even if they get through the application process, because they still need to be able to qualify to get a lawful purchase of a gun, of a firearm, and there's probably other requirements and limitations that's going to make it really hard to become a police officer, even if you're here legally.
And I'm reading the paragraph before which you have highlighted. I'm not correct me if I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. I'm not reading anything in that, though, that says that they need to be, aside from the DACA, I'm not reading anything else there that requires them to be involved or at some step of the immigration, the normal application process for citizenship.
Well, it just said that. It's what I have highlighted.
An individual who is not a citizen but is legally authorized to work in the United States. So I'm not a citizen, but I'm legally authorized. Why would I be legally authorized if I'm not a citizen? Does that relate to the fact that there's a citizenship application on file.
You could be a legal resident. I don't know all of the.
But I don't see any immigration
laws.
application there, though, Ed. I'm trying to like be as precise as I can. I'm not
going to debate this with you. I'm not an expert on immigration.
I'm not debating it with you. I'm just saying, as I'm reading it, I'm
Uh-huh.
not seeing anything in that highlight that says you need to be involved. You need the application process needs to be started for you to qualify. I'm not seeing that in what you highlight. I'm not debating with you. I'm trying to like decipher what's there so we can actually get to the fact of, is Pritzker misspeaking, or are critics of this actually right as far as the fact that if there's no citizenship application, an individual who is not a citizen but is legally authorized to work can be a cop without the citizenship application process. That's what I'm trying to like wrap my head around here.
Well, who manages who in the Brandon Johnson administration is handling migrant stuff right now? Do you remember?
I don't know, but Big Mr. Firebird says it's like green
was it
card
Andre?
cops. A lot of people who are over here visiting, waiting for their green cards, are authorized to work without being citizens or without having to apply for citizenship.
Obviously somebody's going to have a follow-up story on who qualifies and who doesn't once they move forward and get past all the fake news that's floating around out there. I'm just highlighting one small portion of the thing, because I saw it, I was like, okay, that's where they're talking about it in this legislation. And you guys can go to the show notes in the description and read through the entire thing and let us know what you think.
Well,
I don't like to read legalese because they throw a whole bunch more words in than they probably need to throw in there, but it's most likely done so that they're extremely specific about what their legislation is, or so they can sneak in something and make it look like you didn't notice. So
that's true. As we read this, it's like, and I wish I had more time ahead of time, aside from what I read on social media and listening to Pritzker and looking at what you highlighted, that still leaves me with questions that I don't think, I appreciate if we get some feedback from the chat.
Yeah.
For people who might know more. Art shares, you could be an asylum seeker and apply for citizenship, and you can be permitted to work in the U.S. Okay, fair. That makes sense. That actually, I do understand that asylum seekers, I've known some in the past, do have a right to work so long as they have applied for asylum. But yes, Kathy says yes, as long as everybody's vetted. Anyway, I guess there's more to like.
Anyway. But aside from the technical stuff, because I just don't have enough information to be able to provide the answers that I think you're seeking right now. I just wanted to get into the comments of this because, like, the People's Fabric, for example, on the internet, noticed that Dr. Willie Wilson has a problem with this law, and their version of his problem is, quote, "We need more police." Also, no, not those people.
Yeah, but he's saying not those people as work.
So do you see the hypocrisy there?
Yes, I do see the hypocrisy. But if not those people, if that relates to people who are not applying to be citizens, or who have not applied for asylum, who have no intention of being citizens, as we're wondering. Look, I'm the last person to want to jump on agreeing with Willie Wilson, but no, not those people. Well, it's because they're, it's. Yeah, there is some hypocrisy there, Ed, but it all relies on how we are really looking at the facts, defining everything too, I think.
Sure. Yeah. Well,
I think, of course they don't want migrants doing it because now there's a whole resistance to migrants. Instead of saying, well, there shouldn't be a resistance to migrants any more than there should be a resistance to offering the same services and support to people throughout our neighborhoods who've been abandoned and looked past for generations, not even decades, generations.
And look, it's
now Danny brings up something interesting in the chat.
Oh yeah.
All you have to do is look at New Mexico that let illegals be cops. Now I don't know if that's a fact, Danny P. I'd love to see some supporting evidence that New Mexico let illegals be cops, and they have a large cartel presence with illegal cops on the cartel's payroll. Look it up. All right, I don't disbelieve what you're saying, and maybe that is. And a conversation I had with someone recently here, Ed, in Chicago, was They were complaining that all these migrants who are coming in, they're going to bring all the drug traffic and all the cartels. And they said, look, drug trafficking and cartels preceded the migrants who've been dropped on our doorstep by Governor Abbott. Okay. I remember when we had Jose Requena, who was participating in Chicago Corner 2 years ago, he would constantly share stories of the drug cartels in Mexico and the connection to Chicago. That all preceded our current migrant crisis. So let's not pretend that all these migrants that are seeking asylum or fleeing, horrible situations in their country that American empire is probably primarily responsible for are all coming here, to do work for the cartels. Okay. I would imagine that every fucking drug sniffing dog in Texas was all over those people before they transported them in buses to Chicago to worry about them transporting drugs here, or that they're here to only do the work of the cartels. That's nonsense, and it's crazy thinking. But as Danny says here, okay, I'll look it up. And if that's true, and then you've got a question of who's applying to be a police officer that Pritzker wants to let through without vetting or without proper citizenship. Maybe this could be a problem. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you're assuming they're not going to vet these people. See, I think the thing is, it's similar. I see it similar in the way that they recruit migrants or non-citizens to be in the military or to work other public service. And so that, if you're here and you're a resident, regardless of whether you're a citizen, you should have opportunities to get work. Should they be limited? Maybe, because you're not a citizen. I mean, I guess it really depends.
The difference is, though, Ed, there's a very low bar even with our own American citizens in the military. They will take anybody in, especially poor people, and all of them are shipped overseas where they're not a problem. Okay, white people of color, migrant, they're shipped somewhere where they might not come back doing the bidding of American empire. This is a little bit different because we've got those that are maybe not vetted that Pritzker wants to assign to law enforcement positions here on our soil that maybe not might link to what Danny P is sharing here. I don't know. I'm curious about looking this up also. And look, the regular police department is a gang here in Chicago. Okay, it doesn't have to be migrants and people of color.
He's suggesting that there could be a thing where members of a cartel are going to come over here as migrants, become permanent residents or whatever, and then join the police force.
But this isn't even
okay.
Residents,
that's a hypothetical, and clearly, that's probably happening in some police forces. I don't know what's happening out in LA, but I mean.
But Pritzker isn't talking permanent residents, Ed. He's saying, again, there was the DACA, and what you highlighted did not specifically. I didn't see anything there that said you have to be. You have to be at some point of the application process for citizenship or for sanctuary. So I just think there's a lot more for us to look at here. I'm not disagreeing with you. I think if someone is here for sanctuary, as Art shared, if someone is has gone through the legal application process and they get a work permit, I have no problem with that. But I'm still misreading or not understanding even that paragraph that you highlighted that was still a bit confusing to me. That's all I'm talking about. I disagree with you.
Well, this was, that was me taking 5 minutes to look in legislation and see if I could find what it was that they modified or changed. So I may not have highlighted everything that was relevant in there. In fact, I'm sure I didn't, because there were other areas in there where they had to cross some things out because if you can now be a non-citizen, then they have to cross out the parts that say that you're a citizen who's applying, right? So, this is going to be an interesting work in progress. I hope it doesn't damage the police departments. If
they're already damaged, Ed.
But, that's the thing. How much worse can it get by bringing in people who actually might be potentially a better solution?
Warren brings up a good point. Cops have actual gangs in LA. Yeah, and they're primarily white. The LA Sheriff's Department is pretty much operating as a gang. They recruit their friends, white guys, to basically do whatever the fuck they want in the LA Sheriff's Department, LA County Sheriff's Department. When I lived out there,
gangs.
When I lived out there, Ed, I had a friend who was a client, nice guy, but he was a sheriff's deputy. And I'm like, how the F is this guy a sheriff's deputy when he's in here editing in my editing studio and he's a music producer? He was a sheriff's deputy because he had a friend who worked in the sheriff's department who gave him his badge and made him feel like he was officer friendly along with everybody else there. So it's like the qualifications, that should be there, unfortunately, can be as nepotistic. Will you leave my camera alone, Oreo? Come on. So yeah, Warren's right, man. I saw it when I lived out there for 10 years. Well, I actually have a better understanding of it now, having also seen news since then that the LA County Sheriff's Department just does what the hell they want. Remember the story we shared last year where the LA Sheriff's Department sent and paid for on the taxpayer's dime because there was this LA Sheriff's Department guy who bought a Batmobile replica from some guy in another state. They sent sheriffs to the other state, and it's like, no, you can't do that. You can't because it's like, well, we can do whatever we want. We're above the law. We've got the badges. We can do whatever the fuck we want, even though it had nothing to do with public safety or the business of the state of California or the county of Los Angeles. So, we got some comments on Rockfin. Let's share real quick.
We do.
Yeah, Dick on Rockfin. The way things are going, soon we'll have Blackwater recruit Azov Vilicia for Chicago police. I say let them in. Aren't the Irish tired of being cops all the time? Pritzker wants room cleaners, wouldn't you? Azov, I bet they get trained. I don't know what Azov relates to.
Oh, Azov Battalion are the Nazis in Ukraine.
Okay. The way things are going.
The things that mainstream media pretends doesn't exist anymore, when years ago they were telling everybody that they existed.
I see. Okay, now I understand Dick's comments. Thanks for joining us, Dick.
So, hashtag no more proxy war. So moving on to the next thing here. I didn't think this stuff was going to take so long.
I see in the live chat someone called me the guy with the cat. His name is Oreo.
Well, the cat's name is Oreo.
Yeah.
The guy's name is Jerry Vasilatos. All right. Chicago Public Schools facing a bus driver shortage weeks before classes resume. The school district is prioritizing rides for students with special needs or who are homeless. Students in magnet or selective enrollment programs will get free CTA rides.
Jobs in Chicago, people who need jobs.
Yeah.
The school bus
drivers
are hiring. I wonder why people are resistant to that position, that they're dealing with a shortage.
Well, it could also, and I'll bet some of the migrants who are capable of working may actually have bus driving experience.
Yeah. Well, go ahead and piss off more people on the south and piss off more people on the south and west sides, Ed, with that proposal.
Okay. Well, look, I mean, apply for the damn jobs or don't, and stop bitching about it.
That's true. I guess you're right. People shouldn't bitch if they're going to give the jobs to the migrants if they don't want to step up and take the jobs themselves that they claim the migrants are trying to steal from them. If they're not actually
my thinking along this line, though, is that recently the CTA had a hiring promotion thing where they're hiring bus drivers for the CTA buses, and maybe CTA bus drivers. Let me flip over to my Wi-Fi really quick because I think my stream is failing.
Okay.
Hold on. Stand by while we switch networks. Thank you for watching Chicago Corner on Xcrapity. We are now switching over to my mobile hotspot.
If you'll please pardon the interruption, it seems as if we're experiencing some technical difficulties here.
Hey, you, what's up? What's up? What's happening, baby? Huh?
We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
I don't know if this is any better.
Well, if you think it is,
but we're gonna try. And I don't know if Jerry's signal is also giving him some issues on his end. You guys will have to let us know.
I'm doing fine tonight. I'm firing on all cylinders.
I'm getting the bandwidth notification here on my end. It says I got a low signal. But I'm going to keep rolling. And you guys can tell me if you can't hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay.
I'll let you know first, but I mean, it's also up to what people in the chat can gauge.
All right.
You know what, Kathy? I know this, but so is the rest of Chicago. So, you know, I'm not trying to like punitive against migrants, but
we have to keep reminding ourselves it's not their fault that they're here. And it's not their fault that sometimes they're given preferential treatment for certain situations.
But it seems like all situations are being given preferential treatment as opposed
to
people
because sadly our politicians are too fickle and they're worried about appearances.
Yeah.
The problem is they're not dealing with it in the right way right now.
But Ed,
we need to be putting everyone into homes. There are places that people can get shelter, and you're just choosing not to use them.
Do you suspect, as I am, as cynical as I am, that this effort to like give as much as possible to migrants who don't want to be here is also a strategy by the Democratic Party, much as previous strategy? You know what? I don't even want to call them the Democratic Party. I want to call it the neoliberals that have hijacked the Democratic Party to try to recruit new voters.
It's the blue corporate party.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Democrats did this for me, so I'm going to go vote for them. It's a whole new generation of voters.
I'm going to get to that in a little bit.
Okay.
All right. So speaking of buses, and we're going to gloss over this really fast here. Politicians and activists say Dorval Carter should be replaced. No kidding. CTA responds. Records show Carter has barely ridden the CTA in the past 2 years when conditions have declined. Should he keep his job? I'm going with no.
I rode the
Not
CTA
even going to get
Saturday.
in. Yeah. Look, this article is fine, and it's from Streets Blog Chicago. Certainly check out their website, but I'm not reading it. But, you know, hey, Jerry, do you have a video of your little trip that you had this weekend on the train?
I don't have. I have the drive disc. Well, you know, I can.
Should we save it for Friday?
Well, I was gonna edit a little virtual experience and put it on the channel as a standalone of my trip on the CTA 1923 train car to share with everyone who couldn't make it. But I didn't want to like suddenly hijack the story. But I have not ridden the CTA or public transportation in decades because I've had a car, but my car's in the shop, and I had to take the train downtown to get to the Washington and Wabash station where the 1923 train car was there for the 100th anniversary. And it was a real pleasant ride. Now, I'm not stuck every day riding it as other people are, like Kathy, who has is very legitimately raising issues with the fact that accessibility to there was no elevator at State Lake where I took the subway upstairs to get up the stairs to State Lake. There are a lot of platforms that do need elevators, but I will say for Saturday afternoon, it was a nice experience. Aside from the fact the CTA completely screwed up, which was no surprise to me, the details on how you could board that train. They said you could board it at any platform. No, we got to our platform at Washington or Lake and State, and they said, "Oh, you have to go to the Washington Wabash station to board." And all of the information on this was just like completely foobar. And I was thinking of you, Ed, as you said, ghost trains and how mismanaged. But I don't, you know what? Yeah. If it was mismanaged, it was probably the ball was dropped by the CTA because they were responsible for promoting this. It wasn't the fault of the Heritage Foundation that was out there really, really excited. People wanted to come see the 100-year-old train cars and ride on them.
So what else is next on the program? Yes. Well, the hinky reporting is next. And we had social media and certain news outlets that were reporting this. South Loop security guard dies after confrontation with teens, it says. I don't know why that video's popping up there, but I'm going to stop it really quick. It cost him his life, the headline says. And I'm going to... here we go.
As you get this ready, Ed, I want to share the last word on migrant jobs because I think Dick on Rockfin makes a really, really good point here. And I agree with him. It's low class to begrudge anyone a job, especially newcomers. Let's be real. Chicago exists on occupied, genocided native land. It is not really for us to put out the welcome mat or not. I agree.
Yeah.
Good closing point.
Thanks for that. So I'm going to play this video because the article's being hinky with me, but it's basically the same story here from CBS 2.
Now, only on 2, we're learning a security guard died just blocks away the day before.
Sabrina Franza.
Blocks away the day before what, you may
That's
be
not what the
asking.
Chicago Contrarian or William Kelly said. They said he died after.
Hold on. Let me get the background in here first, Jerry. Okay. Blocks away the day before what, you may be asking. There was another teen takeover over the weekend where a whole bunch, like 40 teens that actually the police arrested because there was some issues with some of them had guns and weapons and some were causing a disturbance. And it was like, okay, yeah, at a certain point, if your intent is to go down and raise a ruckus and cause problems, then it's within law enforcement's right to arrest you for it and then let your parents beat the crap out of you later with whatever type of punishments that they implement on you after the fact. I'm not advocating for physical punishment. I'm saying your parents are gonna really scream you out, and maybe that's what's needed here. Sometimes is that when you're unruly kids and you're not getting the type of parental guidance that you need, maybe maybe a parent getting angry at your kid for getting arrested for being a dumbass is maybe the spark you need to change your life. I don't know. Just saying. But anyway, so this is a story not related to that, but they're trying to tie it to that.
Is here. Sabrina, you spoke to his wife who just wants to know what happened.
Jackie Fisher loved being a security guard, and his wife loved that about him. But Saturday was their 22nd wedding anniversary. She says she begged him to take off work, and he didn't. That was the last time that she saw him alive.
That day we went bowling on our anniversary, and he said to me he had to go home and get his clothes so he can go to work. And the last thing I remember, him going out that door and turned around and just looked at me. And that was it.
Barbara Fisher worried about her husband every time he left for work at the Showplace Icon Theater in the South Loop.
But he loved the job. And whenever they called him, whatever shift it was, he just went.
Recently, she says, his work became more and more dangerous. Fisher was beaten back in February for enforcing the theater's new rule.
They're not very clear about what they mean when they said he was beaten back in February. They don't give any details about that.
No guests under the age of 17 can enter without a parent or guardian after 6 p.m. It's a rule a staff member tells CBS 2 began after they saw an increase in disruptive young adults at that location.
I said, this is what you need to do. Go to work and just leave the teenagers alone. He said, but I can't do that because I'm getting paid and not doing my job. So it costed him his life.
Now she's saying it costed him his life, and we don't know what his deal was, but we have more information from the Chicago Sun-Times because CBS 2 left out a whole bunch of stuff, like the fact that this dude was 72 years old, had a history of heart problems.
So did he pass before or after this incident? That's what I'm still not clear on.
Apparently, he was trying. Well, the first thing that CBS 2 mentioned was something about a beating, which I don't know if that was an actual physical altercation that happened in the past. But this is a current thing where apparently he was just trying to get to kick a student, some youth out of the theater for throwing slushies at another security person, and that apparently the stress of the job is, I mean, must have been hard on him. You know, it's not that teens are the reason he's dead. It's that he's working in the theater as security is the reason he's dead.
Yeah, having a 70-year-old security guard, I don't know that I would rely on.
He should have been
retired to be enforcing security with young people.
This, you know, it's sad if this guy needed the job for income.
And he was a hard look. I'm not taking anything away from his work ethic and the fact he was committed to doing his job and being in his mind, a useful member of society. When let's all agree, he should have been enjoying his golden years. He shouldn't be in a position where he's got to work into his 70s. That's a whole other conversation. But
yeah, so, and that's all there really is to say about that story. We don't have to go.
I have something
quick on that
to add in regards to everybody on social media that was using, what happened to pimp their narrative. My favorite nemesis on social media is the Chicago authoritarian.
Oh, that guy.
So here he is. Glad to see CPD being able to do their job. A few arrests may discourage vandalism, looting, property destruction, drifting, and fighting. To which I responded, need a box Kleenex?
Yeah, because it's like all they want to do is they watch busting perps like people watch porn.
That's right. That's the joke there. Yeah. So I just thought I was really proud of myself, and I'm like, oh, this was his moment to shine and show, yeah, man, whoa, they're arresting kids. And as opposed to, well, no, he normally constantly ignores what everyone talks about as far as, root causes. He doesn't give a shit. Whoever this guy behind the Chicago authoritarian account is, he just wants more cops on the streets, busting more heads, ignoring why this shit happens after decades and generations of neglect. It's always the fatherless families. Well, where do the fatherless families come from? Maybe previous generations that were neglected as well, that obviously don't have the coping skills or the parenting skills to raise a new generation of kids that are just being exposed to the same thing that they were exposed to. Do white people fucking get it? And it's not just in the culture of people of color. It's in white culture as well. But you really should need a license to raise a kid. I've seen too many kids suffer because they've got idiots for parents of any color.
All right.
And Art shares, and final word to that. Yeah, this is an example of a man dying for a job he couldn't have had because he needed to keep working into old age. That's going to be us soon. Yep. Did you ever see the Walmart greeters? People that should be at home with their grandkids.
Hi, welcome to Chicago Corner. Glad to see you here.
Who's that? Oh, you're okay. We're the greeters.
I'm the greeter at Chicago Corner. Hi.
Gotcha.
Hope you finding everything okay? I mean, even if you're not, I can't really help you. I don't know where anything is in the store. But if you do want to see what's in the store, head over to chicagocornertv.com/shop. There's some fun stuff in there.
Kathy's absolutely right. But no, though, Kathy, because I've constantly, when I go for grocery shopping at Walmart, as much as I hate patronizing them, they are the cheapest place in town to buy groceries. I routinely see security in Walmart ignoring stuff and relying on calling the police to deal with things that Walmart should be paying qualified security people to handle. People who are the right age, people who are in the physically fit to do this stuff.
Right.
You can't, if you're a private business and private corporation like this theater, they shouldn't have been hiring a 70-year-old man for security. They should have been hiring a 30-year-old fit individual with the proper training to handle security inside the theater, not rely on calling the police unless it escalated into violence, at which point you do need to.
Yeah, I mean, that guy, they should have had him, tearing tickets for people or like some, concessions manager or something,
It's hard. That's awful.
So that's, again, we delve into these stories and we're like, this is bullshit. This is what the real deal is. That's why you come here to Chicago Corner. Because we take a few minutes and we're looking at the story and going, no, that's hinky.
Yeah.
If I were the man I was 5 years ago, I'd take a flamethrower to this place.
Exactly. But now we're going to get into a thing that's going to make people laugh or possibly angry.
Uh-oh.
On a thing here. There's a letter to the editor over at the Chicago Sun-Times from good what's his name? Who wrote this thing? This was I got his name in here. Hold on. Yes, that's his name is as soon as I can figure out how to use the actual scroll wheel on my computer here, Ted Z. Manuel from Hyde Park sent in this letter to the editor, and he sent in a few other ones in the past, and I think he's not always off, but this time
he's way off. He's way off.
Yeah.
He's on another planet.
Yeah. He says, stop fussing about Joe Biden's age. Biden has what it takes to be president, or we'd all be in sorry straits.
Shit lib alert. Shit lib alert.
And hold on, let me leave this on the screen here because
let's forget about his age. He's running a crime family, as we saw, and reported on with Hunter Biden and everything else. All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just filling in the space while you're looking to start the reading.
Thank you, Jerry. President Joe Biden's detractors keep slamming his age as if because of it, the nation is in grave jeopardy or is already on the brink of disaster. Newsflash: we're this close to World War III. I'm just saying. I'm not. This is not hyperbolic here. I'm telling you, we are really close. His calendar age seems to be the worst criticism they can make. Yeah, really? Have you watched this show? Since by all external measures, America's lot is the best it's been in quite a spell. Our economy is,
you talk about you having holes in the Swiss cheese of your brain. I think that you're too hard on yourself, Ed. I think this is an example of someone who's got the holes in their Swiss cheese brain.
I think maybe you're correct. He says, our economy is strong, burgeoning even. Really, economy's strong. Okay, just give me a second here to jump over to a couple other things on my screen here, like this, for example. This is over on my Real Deep Dish Facebook page. I had a historical, the memories thing where you can repost the memories, the things that happen on this day, back however many years ago. 4 years ago, that was 2019, $2 for a can of tomatoes, 28-ounce can, the kind I often use for pizza. Today, August 1st, 2023, I checked the price on this, same place that I had the price for the last one, the Jewels, of course, $4.99.
More than 100% markup.
$4.99.
I'm looking at having to raise the pricing on my retail product on Amazon, Ed, because the manufacturing costs have gone up. Right now it's $24.95. I'll probably raise it to $26 or $28, not $40, 100% plus price increase like this can of tomatoes you just demonstrated or presented.
He says, we're as close to full employment as we get. Really? Really, you're going to go with that one? You know that a whole bunch of people are like, they got 2 or 3 jobs just trying to make ends meet. And then there's this.
It's uniquely American, Ed. 3 jobs? Got
There's
time
this.
to sleep?
Coming from shitlib NBC, CNBC, 61% of Americans say they are living paycheck to paycheck. Never mind the garbage they're telling you about inflation. Because the real deal is, if 61% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, your bogus unemployment numbers and your bogus inflation numbers don't mean shit. Pardon my French. This is, again, CNBC published this. So you can't go telling me that I got it from faux news or some other outlet that you're not a fan of, Blue MAGA.
News crap?
Blue MAGA? Why? Because,
Newsmax?
I mean, seriously, you guys are like, oh, it's MSNBC says this. This is CNBC, same company, telling you 61% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Now here's my answer to that.
Collect your torches and go!
That's Bidenomics. Right there. Arturo says we are so close to a revolution if an economic collapse happens.
Close?
Yeah, I'd say next week.
It's a demand. It must happen.
Honestly, it's insane. Now the where are they getting this 61% from? They did a study, and it's this study from Payments and what's it called? Lending Club did a poll of more than 3,000 Americans. They did a pretty good sample poll here. Plus, they got a whole bunch of other data here. There's a link to this in the show notes. It's several pages long, but I just wanted to just go over this page right here. It says, in May 2023, the Federal Reserve released the economic well-being of U.S. households in 2022, the latest edition of an annual report often used to measure financial well-being. Since 2013, these reports have tracked consumers' stated ability to afford a theoretical $400 emergency expense. Overall, the report shows that higher prices have negatively affected most households, and overall financial well-being declined in the last year, with many consumers adjusting their spending to make do.
But
go ahead.
You know what's more important, though, Ed? Breaking news, what the Democrats are focused on. Trump was indicted again.
Again?
Again.
Really?
Because that's the priority, not what we're talking about
walls
here.
Are closing in.
Aren't they, though? Aren't they, though?
Yeah. Walls are closing in again. Guys, he doesn't care. See, you don't get it. Trump doesn't care if he gets indicted because he's running for president so he can pardon himself.
Yeah, plus it's great free publicity for himself.
Yeah,
I just look at all these liberals on Facebook and social media breathlessly thinking, they're creaming in their jeans that he's going to go to jail. It's like, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Start holding your side accountable, and Republicans start holding your side accountable, and stop the kayfabe nonsense.
Yeah, and stop pretending that we all have to tighten our belts and that everybody has to get their wallet out and pay more taxes to fund federal spending, because it's not freaking true. Just spend the money on the things we need. Fix the infrastructure. You know that we need that. You know your damn businesses need that. You're so in tune to all this pro-corporate bullshit, and yet you won't even fix the roads, bridges, and railways. What's the matter with you? Give people health care. You need healthy people to work. You're not going to be able to get away with AI and robots for every damn thing you need done in this world.
Maybe. Unfortunately, I'm afraid that might be wrong.
Well, you're still going to need
corporations
people to
have their way.
You're still going to need people to program and fix the AI and robots.
And then they'll be tasked with fixing the AI and robots to fix themselves. And then no one will be needed. Terminator.
Now, for the rest of this, I just wanted to get to this part of the page here, the other side where it says, still the question remains, is the $400 amount a valid reference to reflect today's reality? According to Payments Research, nearly half of United States consumers have faced at least one unexpected expense in the last 90 days. In fact, 2/3 of the unexpected expenses consumers experienced cost more than the Federal Reserve's benchmark of $400, with consumers' average emergency expense now approximately $1,700. So 400 isn't even an accurate thing, you know. $1,700 emergency expense. Nobody can afford those. 61% certainly can't. So, I mean, I think their data was finding, it said their data finds that 57% of U.S. consumers live paycheck to paycheck in May 2023. While similar to May 2022, this share is less than the level seen in the first quarter of 2023. So they're saying it went down a little bit, but it's still more than half. I mean, this is terrible. You cannot go and tell everybody Bidenomics is working for everybody when you have more than half of Americans living paycheck to paycheck. And that paycheck barely covers expenses. So that's me ranting about Bidenomics. Take your lousy Bidenomics and go. I'm playing the torches thing again.
Take your torches and go!
All right, moving on. This is a real headline in the Wall Street Journal. It says, to save money, maybe you should skip breakfast. So coming from this is tweeted from Buddyhead over on Twitter, says, hey, Poors, maybe just starve.
Isn't breakfast the most important meal of the day?
Yes. In fact, I just heard that on the radio this morning. So we're getting mixed messages from mainstream media. But I think, but also, you know, the headline is being pretty hyperbolic. And I think the reason I got the actual article here because I wanted to see what that. I mean, is he really being that crass, or they're just doing it for clicks on the headline? I think they were doing it for clicks on the headline. Somebody at the Washington Post is a real. Is it Washington Post? Wall Street Journal, sorry. Somebody at Wall Street Journal is a real jackass in the editorial department here.
It's the rich people laughing at us, Ed. It's the rich people. It's the haves laughing at the have-nots once again. I mean, we see these kind of headlines from the Wall Street Journal, not the Washington Post, but the Wall Street Journal quite often in the past. I can't specifically remember one, but I do remember in the past when I saw headlines that it's just like it's them laughing at everybody else, telling us what we could do without, what everyone else needs to do without that they can do with, over and over and over and over again.
Yeah. So
all the sacrifices that the middle class and poor people are supposed to make that they don't have to because they rule the world.
So I'm just going to get my other tab open here. Yeah, so the article basically, it's about the price of things. And so they were making a really, really bad joke with this headline is what it turns out. But it's really crass. You know, it's like for people who, like I said, 61% are paycheck to paycheck right now. I know I'm spending a lot more time at Aldi and less time at Jewel because some things are cheaper over at Aldi. But even Aldi, you know, some stuff just, you know, you're never going to be able to get the lower prices for certain ingredients. And that, I think that's the point they're making here. Several breakfast staples saw sharp price increases due to a perfect storm of bad weather and disease outbreaks and continued efforts they're blaming Russia, from Russia's invasion of Ukraine. You know what that is? That they're talking about wheat prices. If you're wondering why cereal prices are through the roof, other than the price gouging, it's because a huge amount of wheat for the world comes from Russia and Ukraine. Both of them are big wheat producers. The people may not be aware. It says egg prices increased 8.5% in January from a month earlier and are up 70.1% over the past year, the highest annual rate since 1973. Now we've seen they're blaming the avian influenza outbreak because you know what happens is when livestock gets sick, they end up basically killing all of them off and they can't sell that stuff. So they, you know, that's so then they have to basically start from scratch and breed again. And so even if it was, you know, even if these birds were making perfectly edible food that wasn't going to be passing on those diseases or whatever, they can't sell them because they don't want to take the chance. And I'm like, okay, I get it. You know, supply chain issues are a problem. They were a big problem during the lockdown. But we can't expect supply chain issues to be the excuse every time. We can't expect, you know, poor management of your livestock, you know, whether you didn't keep them healthy or whatever it was, to be an excuse every time you guys jack up the prices on this stuff, because at a certain point, your stuff's going to sit on the shelves and then you're going to be forced to drop those prices. So, you know, there is a little bit of supply and demand involved here.
There was an interesting comment related kind of to this economic conversation again from Dick from Rockfin. Thanks for your comments, Dick. I looked at the government pie charts for tax revenue and spending over the years. The military budget actually is 100% of non-social security Medicare tax revenues year after year. Yeah, without also having to account for it during the congressional audits. But we know why that is though too. Well, that'll probably come up in our next story. But it is, yeah. The military budget is actually 100% of non-Social Security Medicare tax revenue year after year. They exchange U.S. Treasury bills for Federal Reserve banknotes to pay for everything else. Yeah, as Ed has shared.
Yeah, we had a pretty good conversation about MMT back when they were doing the debt ceiling thing again. So you guys can look for the debt ceiling kayfabe clip that we've got on the channel.
Yep.
I think it's on the YouTube channel. You might be. Yep. Did you put one
on
Rockfin too? Okay.
Put it up on. Yeah, it's on both channels.
Yeah, because the more people understand federal spending, the better off we're all going to be. Just because it lets you call out your representatives and call bullshit when they're bullshitting you. When they tell you can't afford stuff on the federal level, it's bullshit. They can always afford to pay for things on the federal level. They never have to ask where the money's going to come from because they issue the currency. They make the money.
You know, in regards also to the whole federal audit situation I just brought up, trillions missing from defense budgets every year. But God damn it, man, if you sell something more than $600 value on eBay, the IRS is going to be up your ass with a microscope.
Yeah, and it's crazy that they chose $600 as the number, because that's exactly how much Melty Joe owes each and every one of us.
True. I hadn't thought about that.
I found this related tweet from, it was posted by Clever Monster, but the original post came from Brave New Films, who I think those are the guys that did Rome's Death to America video short film. Or I don't know if it's a short film. I didn't get to watch it yet. But it's going to be an interesting film if it's got Rome Bethia in it. This says, why is it always poor people should cut back and not billionaires should hoard less money? I ask
because
myself
they're better
that
because
all the
they're
time.
because they're better than us, Ed.
Just saying, literally share the wealth, guys. Come on. Oh, we are finally at the part of the show that I wanted to talk about since we started the show, Jerry. And this is going to be good too.
Well, kind of related. I think it is related. I think it's very related to all of the conversations we've had over the past several shows regarding UAP and UFO disclosure as it relates to the technological breakthroughs that have been basically what's the word? Oh my God, that have been suppressed from improving or improving humanity, from serving humanity. All of this stuff that's been kept secret has been at the prevention of actually benefiting and serving humanity. So a lot of people say, oh, well, why now? Why, what are we being prepared for? It's a psyop. This can't be real. I found this great video on Twitter I'm going to share real quick before we go into this story.
Oh, but before we
recovered their bodies,
play that video, Kathy Powers says $6.49 for a box of checks. Holy crap!
Yeah. So to everybody wondering why, with all the disclosure stuff going on, I don't know this. So she's on TikTok. It says SinUSAid_bananas is this video maker. But here, I'm going to just let her share what I think is, I think she's got a point here.
Our government has gone on record confirming aliens exist. We've recovered their bodies. We've recovered their spacecraft. We have their technology. We've even been in contact with them, and nobody cares. And I keep seeing all this commentary on it, the government said aliens exist and no one gives a shit. But have we considered that maybe this was by design? Because I don't know if y'all remember, but the whole time this conspiracy has been going on and all these whistleblowers have come out and said, oh, the government is hiding this stuff from you. And we've been asking why. Why are they hiding it? Just tell us. And they said the government doesn't want you to know because they're afraid the society is going to descend into chaos and mass hysteria. And that's why they won't tell you. We're already there. Yes. Society has already descended into chaos and mass hysteria. We're fucking fighting over Bud Light and the Barbie movie and whether or not drag queens can read books to children. How much further can we go? We can't get any worse than this. We're at society's rock bottom. This is the perfect time to just drop this information on us. It's just a drop in the water at this point. It's like throwing a Molotov cocktail into a nuclear explosion. Of course no one cares. It doesn't make a damn bit of difference when the most immediate threat to us is whether or not we're going to have a roof over our head or we're going to get gunned down by a Nazi. I'm out here fighting for my life, and here's my government oh, by the way, aliens are a thing. Okay. Can I convert that into cold hard cash so I can pay my rent and feed my family? Because otherwise I don't give a fuck. They looked around at society and they were like, all right, so everybody's either homeless or can't pay their rent. They're starving. They're all broke. No one's got any money because the rich hoarded it all. They're depressed, anxious, hopped up on medication. They hate each other because of culture wars that we fabricated. There's social injustice and oppression everywhere. Everyone's fucking dying. The world is on fire. Hey there, American citizen. I see you getting your ass kicked over there, but I've been trying to contact you about your car's extended warranty. I don't care! Aliens. There you go. You cannot tell me that this timing was not planned this way. If this news of the existence of aliens has got you excited, it's because you have privilege. Plain and simple. You have the privilege of being able to be excited about this because you're not worried about where your next meal is going to come from. And don't get me wrong, I'm excited as fuck about this. It's got my head in a tailspin.
I'm more excited at the fact that if the stuff finally comes out, maybe it will benefit society and give us clean energy and feed people and give people housing. So I disagree with her there.
Yeah.
My excitement is that it's been suppressed to prevent these things from happening. So I think that's a little bit of a disconnect. But I disagree with everything else she's saying.
I'm like, no, I am capable of walking and chewing gum. Okay. I am paycheck to paycheck right now. I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford to pay my bills next month or this month, really. I am worried about the planet. I'm worried about the pollution. I don't like the way the climate is going, regardless of whether, whether some of it is hyperbolic or some of it is true. There's all kinds of crazy climate things happening that weren't happening before. And we need to be aware and deal with them. And our government is twiddling their thumbs and throwing money at Ukraine.
I'll go one further to Warren's point here. People would care about UFO, UAP if those things were giving out houses and good jobs. Well, they might not give out houses and good jobs, but they would certainly start to diminish the amount of money we have to spend on electricity, gas, food, the damage to our environment and climate change. Those affect everybody. So if people understood how these technologies that have been hidden from us could basically improve all that stuff, that's what they're disconnected from, because they're fighting for their housing and
one more thing. And to her point about how she doesn't think things can get any worse. Hold my beer.
Well, I'm going to let her finish.
Because this melty-brained, dim-wit puppet of corporations is going to get us all killed by starting World War III.
My gears are grinding. I want to know everything there's.
Maybe the aliens can save us.
Yeah, let me back it up so we can hear what she's saying.
You have the privilege of being able to be excited about this because you're not worried about where your next meal is going to come from. And don't get me wrong, I'm excited as fuck about this. It's got my head in a tailspin. My gears are grinding. I want to know everything there's to know about it, but it's because I'm privileged. I'm not in survival mode. So if you are out there just trying to get through each and every day, one day at a time, it makes sense that you don't give a fuck about this. It does not affect your day-to-day life. I get it. But I'm just telling you that I know our government dropped this news at this time strategically because of the fact that most of.
But you know what? I will say this, Ed. I've seen people of privilege who don't give a shit either. I've talked to people who are very comfortable and they don't care. They're not focused on this. They're not excited about it as we are, because I think you and I have a little bit more understanding of the farther reaching implications of what's been suppressed, what's been hidden away, and what hasn't been shared that could benefit humanity.
Well, and I think she's oversimplifying it as well, in that it's not just the government, but it's different factions of the government and different factions outside the government that are trying to tug of war over this information right now. And clearly there's a reason why somebody brought it up in the first place, and now everyone's in a mad dash to try and control how everything moves forward. And was the information released for a purpose beyond politics? Possibly, but we won't know until we get more disclosure, and
more evidence to disclosure, to support the disclosure.
Or more confirmation to confirm whether the evidence that is presented is true or not. But I saw this story, and I posted it in our Chicago Corner Slack earlier. Because I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And also, I'm like, how's the timing of this information possibly related to them talking about extraterrestrial stuff?
Well,
which, because they've been trying to re-engineer these spaceships, and also who knows what kind of information is being passed back and forth between these non-human
craft, not re-engineer. They've been the story goes, what's been disclosed is that all these technological black op operations have been reverse engineering the technology. So when you, Ed, shared this in the Slack, I'm like, these breakthroughs could relate to the reverse engineer technologies that have been hidden for so long.
Yeah. So I'm not going to read through most of this article because it's going to sound like science nerd talk in here for the most part. But the one thing that you need to know about is that they've developed or are developing a superconductor that's called LK99. And it's here. It says, let's look at what's being claimed and how strong the evidence seems to be. The authors describe a lead-based copper-doped material. I don't know what copper-doped means, but that's a funny hyphenated word. LK99, which is made by first preparing a well-characterized mineral from lead oxide and lead sulfate. But essentially what it's doing is it's making a room temperature superconductor. That's a huge deal.
And what does that do? What's the benefit?
There's a whole bunch of benefits, and let me play this video from Breakthrough News because they can go through some of the possibilities here. And here we go.
Imagine a world where you could take a train from New York to DC in just 20 minutes, or a world with free infinite energy. A new scientific discovery could become the basis for exactly that. But is it even real? A team of South Korean scientists recently published a scientific paper claiming they created a new superconductive material, which they call LK99. The lab also posted a video that showed a sample of LK99 levitating above a magnet consistent with the properties of a superconductor. A superconductor is a material that facilitates an electric current without any resistance. When regular conductors
kind of like a UAP.
Yeah, so like just the fact that it's able to do the type of floating things, but there's more.
Not all the electricity is conserved and some is lost. With superconductors, there is no loss, making them perfectly efficient. Well, there are many
endless energy.
Yeah, endless energy. Listen.
The materials out there, none of them exhibit superconductivity unless they're cooled at extreme temperatures or under incredibly high atmospheric pressure, making widespread use of superconductors expensive and impractical. What makes LK99 unique is that it allegedly exhibits superconductivity at room temperature, which would eliminate the need for expensive cooling systems. If LK99 really is a room temperature superconductor, it could be the basis for perfectly efficient energy grids, drastically reduce the cost of everything from MRI machines to deep space radios, make nuclear fusion viable, and take computers and wireless communication to a whole new level. Additionally, it would help trains
at far more reduced costs.
Yes.
If any at all. But fossil fuel industries and the nuclear industries and everybody else who's been running our society and energy for the past, I don't know, what has it been now? Almost 80 years, do not want this stuff out there. And can I quickly share something here to just, before you continue with this? All right. I broke it down even more simply. How what we're watching relates to disclosure. And I shared this on Twitter. The Lombardy, Italy incident, where that craft went down in 1933 and was recovered by Mussolini's forces, was in 1933. The Roswell, New Mexico, USA incident was in 1947. The digital revolution began between the late 1950s and 1970s. It is the development of technology and from mechanical and analog to digital. That means like physical machines to digital technologies, computer-based technologies. During this time, digital computers and digital record keeping became the norm. Again, between the late 50s and 1970s, after the Roswell incident in 1947, development of modern stealth technologies began in the United States in 1958, where earlier attempts to prevent radar tracking of its U-2 spy planes during the Cold War by the Soviet Union had been unsuccessful. Connect the dots as to why disclosure has been covered up for so long. It's less about suppressing mass panic and more about controlling macroeconomic, technological, and military superiority. Because all of this reverse engineer technology that we're speculating about has something to do with the video that Ed is sharing regarding advances that have been hidden from us. Analog, mechanical, technology to digital happened after the alleged Roswell incident, and we've been on a sprint since then. Not perfect, because there's a lot of people who've been talking about regarding this reverse engineering. There's some things that the best metaphor was like, you could probably take a Harley Davidson back to the Pilgrims on the Mayflower. They might understand how to start it up and maybe how to ride it, but they're not going to completely understand all of the technology behind it. That's where we are with the reverse engineering on these UAPs that have been hidden and the technologies that would benefit humanity, like the video Ed is sharing here in regards to an endless stream of energy that you wouldn't have to pay for. So
that, and maybe this could be a reason why they're delaying and fixing the tracks when they possibly won't need them anymore.
Oh, you mean on
Trains of reality.
Maglev trains.
Well, yeah. I've seen
trains are trains that levitate. And
yeah, let me back this up here.
I've seen the bullet trains that kind of operate like that, but not on this floating technology that they're revealing here.
And take computers and wireless communication to a whole new level. Additionally, it would help make maglev trains a reality. Maglev trains are trains that levitate and are propelled by giant superconductive magnets. Hyperloop, which is a concept where maglev trains would travel through a vacuum-sealed tube, has a theoretical top speed of 760 miles per hour.
That's why Elon Musk wanted to do this.
Yep.
And who knows if he's already developing this with this stuff.
Elon Musk is also denying disclosure. He can't do that anymore. I'm sure Elon Musk is in on the grift. That's why he was denying it. And pretty soon he's not going to be able to deny it anymore.
No, I mean,
because he's probably one of the beneficiaries of what's been going on behind the scenes.
He's got contracts. He's got government contracts. Of course, there's probably a ton of stuff he's developing or working with, whether or not he actually created it or not, that could be related to things that they discovered from re-engineering or spacecraft or who knows if maybe they have one cooperating alien, in Area 53 or wherever they're keeping him now, who's actually teaching him the little things so that they don't try and blow themselves up with the stuff that we don't understand yet.
Area 51.
Yeah, that's what they keep telling you.
Dick on Rockfin says, I'm detecting Chicago Corner doesn't like to be called privileged or Gen X. I have no problem with either.
No.
I know that I am. I'm privileged in some ways, not always. But I do acknowledge I'm privileged. I have no problem being called Gen X. I think Gen X is a great generation.
No, I'm proud to be Gen X. When people point out my privilege, I try to recognize it because I know I have it.
Yeah.
But I also understand. But I also understand I live in this world and I experience a lot of same things that other people experience, and so I can also recognize where I am like a lot of you. Which is why I talk about how I went through a Chapter 7 bankruptcy more than 10 years ago. I am living paycheck to paycheck right now, like a lot of you are. I'm very fortunate to have a roof over my head, but I don't know for how much longer that's going to be possible if I don't find a way to get additional income. But that's by no means a reason to tell you to support us at patreon.com/Chicago Corner or to buy merch from our merch store at chicagocornertv.com/shop. That's not why I'm telling you that, although you should.
He's telling you that so that I don't have to keep footing all the bills myself, since I'm the one who's been doing that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, I'm a partner in this caper that we're doing here with this organization where we are a worker co-op. But the truth is, Jerry's been taking a huge brunt of the expenses at the moment. But the truth is, I'd like to help and pay my share. When financially feasible, and it helps us a lot when we get the super chat tips or the Patreon subscriptions or people buy merch.
Just for case of example, I had to send some documents out on behalf of Chicago Corner business. I think we had like $50 in the Chicago Corner account. I had to make copies of this of the documents that I had to send out. It was, I think the printing bill was like $18, and then I had to send certified mail envelopes, and those were like $18, I think it was, for both. And it's like all our revenue for last month is gone. That's just how expensive things are. I mean, I'm not complaining, but that's what this is what the money goes to, everybody. Operational costs. So it's not me digging into my Social Security disability, or that I've got it, that helps me with my utilities and my living expenses to cover stuff to do the program here. So
it's not all going to Ed's Pizza ingredient fund. I literally, that comes out of my normal food budget. I have leftovers a lot of times from that. So that's several days worth of meals that I'm making out of that pizza. It's not like I'm, I just happen to be good at cooking and baking. And so I'll make things that I like. And pizza is one of those things. Anyway, let's get back to the video, because I want to watch the rest of this and then get to a little bit more.
Get the fastest form of transportation on Earth while consuming far less energy and being safer than air travel. Perfecting Hyperloop technology could change the realm of possibilities for travel. Imagine going from New York to DC in 20 minutes for your lunch break, or Boston to LA and back for a day trip with your friends. While the prospect of a breakthrough in superconductor technology is exciting, many scientists remain skeptical. In the past, scientists have claimed to have invented room temperature superconductors, only for their claims to crumble under further scrutiny. As we speak, scientists around the world are trying to recreate LK99 to test if the initial claims are true.
Yeah, that's actually happening in real time. You can check on Twitter for hashtag LK99, and you'll see scientists actually posting that, some of them are testing the results and trying to reproduce them, and some of them are saying, okay, these are the superconductive properties that we're getting, or this is the math or science or physics problems that we've solved that confirm that this could actually work. So this social media is actually helping us for once. It's doing something good for us by letting people collaborate in real time. You were going to say?
What was I going to say? We're talking about scientists and stuff. There have been a lot of scientists throughout the decades and generations have come forward with revolutionary breakthroughs to be identified and smeared as crackpots, and none of their theories actually work, because they could actually they could overcome the stranglehold fossil fuels companies, nuclear power, all of these things have over making a specific amount of society rich. And several of these scientists have disappeared or died under questionable circumstances. The Patent Office of the United States of America has made their claims impossible to file, to open up, so that these technologies would benefit the rest of humanity. I'm thinking of the Chinese bullet trains, and I don't know if they operate on a principle like this, but I mean, they don't go as fast as like being able to get from, what did they say, New York to Los Angeles in how many minutes? But they're still pretty damn fast. 20 minutes? Okay. But they're still pretty damn fast. And China's got it and we don't. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason we've still got Amtrak diesel fuel technology with our infrastructure and our railway system that's got safety systems that date back to the Civil War, as we saw in the disaster with that chemical spill in Ohio.
Yeah.
So this is amazing. And it's like you can't help but wonder when, how soon. Why are we waiting? What's slowing this down?
Yeah, well, I'm excited about this, just to see what the first things are that come out that are actually using the technology. But I want to watch the rest of this, and then I want to get into another possibility.
Regardless of whether or not LK99 is all that it's cracked up to be, what's obvious is that researching miracle technologies like superconductors should be among the highest priorities in society.
Yes.
Technologies like superconductors, nuclear fusion, nanotechnology, and the Internet of Things would vastly increase societal productivity while lessening the need for human toil. If these technologies were used to maximize human well-being, we could live in a post-scarcity society where we no longer need to fight over resources or work jobs to survive, and live in an unprecedented era of human freedom and harmony. Despite this, U.S. military-related research is set to receive more federal funding than research for health and human services, energy, space, agriculture, transportation, education, and the Smithsonian institutions combined. On top of this, scientific research at many universities is funded by military contractors and big pharma giants. Billionaires buy out revolutionary technologies and try to sell them back to us at a profit. As long as scientific priorities are dictated by war profiteers, billionaires, and big pharma, science will never serve humanity. In this sense, the fight over the future of science is inseparable from the fight over the future of humanity itself.
That's yeah, he made the points. That was, yeah. So I just wanted to mention that, you know, there's one more thing you can get from Superconductors.
I am looking for a link I want to share. Yeah, where are our flying cars and our hoverboards?
He's on a hoverboard! Fly! Let it fly!
Hoverboards. Room temperature superconductors will get us hoverboards, but not just hoverboards. Flying cars, Jerry.
We're way overdue for flying cars. I'm looking for a link I want to share in the chat that I want everybody to watch this. If it's still on YouTube, it may have been removed. I'm trying to get the link. I'm trying to get the link from. I shared it with my nephew the other night. Now I don't know if the link is still good to share here, but it's a movie that's called The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It, and it's talking about all of this. And it's a movie that you can find, you can pay for. It's streaming, but it is also, someone made it available on YouTube, and I'm trying to see if it's still there, because every time somebody puts it on YouTube, it gets released for a copyright claim, which when I think it should be as freely distributed as possible. But give me a moment. It is still there. How can I share this link off of my phone?
I can check Odyssey if it's, maybe it's there. But
do you have Slack open?
I do.
Okay, I'm going to send it to you in Slack so that you can share the link, because I don't want to open up browsers here and risk having problems. But I'm going to send it to you Tuesday show, Ed. Here's the link. Put it up in the live chat. The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It, and it's about all of these technologies that have been suppressed. What we've lost in the last century with all of this technology that's being reverse engineered by those who will profit from it, or suppress it so that others can profit from our existing technologies. It's just I believe it was it's hosted by Dr. Stephen Greer, who did that press conference in Washington 2 months ago regarding disclosure around the time that David Grush did his interview. There might also be a trailer for, you know what? Ed shared the link for the full program, but there should be a trailer on YouTube for The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. And if you can pull it up and share just the trailer, so people, Oh,
there's a trailer.
There's a trailer also, but search for the trailer. But this is the full, just so people can see what the full movie is going to be like. Quickly do a search for Lost Century trailer, and I think it relates to everything we just shared with this story and the ongoing disclosure developments. But yeah, the link is in the chat. Bookmark it, everybody. Watch it at your leisure. It's a great documentary. It sheds light on all of this stuff.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, so here's the trailer
I
for.
can get it from IMDb. I think they've got it.
Okay.
As soon as I stand by.
No. Unidentified flying objects is an obfuscating term.
This is an alternative energy and propulsion device. Between the late 1800s and now, the ingenious inventions and sciences have all been ruthlessly suppressed, confiscated.
It reads like a James Bond movie, but it's real. It happened here in the United States.
We master gravity control here on Earth, not extraterrestrial. These are projects that are off the radar, even of the people who manage the Black Project.
I'm just pausing it because literally, like a room temperature superconductor is part of that. mastering of gravity control. I would say it's probably the rudimentary level of that kind of stuff from the extraterrestrial technology that they've discovered. So it's like I said, I think that they are throwing us a bone here, or the scientists said, "Oh, let's take a look at this object and figure out what the hell it's made out of and try and re-engineer it," and it was this.
Well, it might be the only thing that they were able to wrap their heads around, figuring out how to reverse engineer.
Yeah, because I mean, like they've mentioned previously, they're traveling in other ways, using portals and folding space and time. And so that's
the stuff I don't think they've figured out yet.
Because if they figured that out, then they don't need the maglev stuff for that kind of thing. They would use the maglev stuff for other things, the hover dolly, the hoverboards, toys, anything where they need to lighten gravity's load for anything. They would have a thing that they can just slap onto a box or something, and all of a sudden they can just hover it over to where it needs to go. I mean, the shipping companies would love to have stuff like that.
When someone asks me how bad is the crisis, I kind of don't know where to begin.
So there's something nefarious afoot.
These technologies would end fossil fuels.
Narrated by Fred Durst?
That caught your attention.
Okay.
Pollution and poverty overnight.
That's pretty intriguing.
This lost century of technologies that have existed, that have vanished, is the biggest cover-up and scandal in the history of the world.
Check it out, everybody. On YouTube, while that link in the chat lasts, might get pulled down again, and since it is available on 4 paid streaming services, but someone put the documentary up there. Apparently YouTube hasn't caught it yet to remove it of the full feature.
Yeah, so we've reached the part of the program that I've been tinkering with, called This Day in History. I may call it something else going forward, but it's pretty cool to see things in the past that happened on this very day, August 1st, and then be able to maybe relate to some of the things happening today. For example,
that's what I drive.
Today, in August 1st, 1941, the Willys Truck Company introduced the Jeep to the U.S. Army, who were looking for a fast, lightweight, all-terrain vehicle. Now, they didn't.
They're not lightweight anymore. They're not lightweight anymore.
They didn't invent the Jeep. Bantam, a Pennsylvania company, invented the Jeep, but the military needed more than Bantam could produce, so they turned to Willys and Ford, and they built them for the Army. And here's them with, I think Edsel Ford is in the car. I don't remember. I think Edsel's probably on the right there. And they're basically showing it to all the muckety mucks over there in the military and in those companies. But yeah, so that happened in 1941. Take that off the screen. What else happened August 1st? Austrian-born Formula One racing driver Niki Lauda became trapped in his Ferrari in 1976 on this day after a horrific accident at the Grand Prix in Germany. He was trapped inside the burning car until other drivers managed to pull him from his burning Ferrari. So that happened today in 1976. He was out of racing for a while, recovering from his injuries, but in 1977 and 1984 he won the F1 World Championship again. His story was reimagined in the movie Rush from 2013. I think Ron Howard directed that, I remember. Okay, what else happened today? on on August 1st.
If only they stuck to their roots.
What else happened today on August 1st?
5, 4. We've gone for main engine start. We have main engine start.
Ladies and gentlemen, rock and roll.
MTV, also known as Music Television, August 1st, 1981. This music video cable channel, whose original purpose was to play music videos, launched on this day in 1981. The first music video shown on MTV was, anybody in the live chat know? I'll bet you guys know. I'll bet Uncle Warren knows.
I don't.
If he's still watching. Any
Something
Gen
by the
Xers out there know what the first music video on MTV was?
By the Police?
No. No. Mad Matt is guessing Thriller. No, that's too early. Yeah, Uncle Warren's got it.
Really? Of course he does. Of course he does. Uncle Warren is, there you go. He is
killed the radio star.
Pop culture genius.
By the Buggles. And we're not going to play it here or we'll get a copyright strike probably.
Were you about to say copy crap strike? Because it's the same thing.
Copy crap strike. I'll start calling it that if I remember correctly. Okay. And then finally, on August 1st in 1997, the National Cancer Institute released information. This is kind of related to the Oppenheimer thing. Released information that nuclear testing during the 1950s could be a cause of thyroid cancer. And as many as 10,000 to 75,000 people exposed to the 1950s fallout as children or archaeologists could develop thyroid cancer, Jerry.
7, 6,
5,
4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
So yeah, Indy's got a bunch of radiation on him right now.
I do not want to find out Indiana Jones got thyroid cancer post Dial of Destiny. I don't need to know it. I don't want to hear it. My feelings on that film since I saw it have continued to evolve. By the way, Art, I'm sorry. My dad wanted to see Oppenheimer. I went with him this weekend. It was a last minute decision. But I was thinking of that scene with Indiana Jones in regard to the actual nuclear tests that were performed at Los Alamos and as depicted in Oppenheimer. Long movie. Maybe I can still see it with Art to review, but I wouldn't know what to review. It's just, it's a really fascinating, very, very intimate and all-inclusive biographical historical film. Mm-hmm. And I would recommend it to everybody. And that it's been bundled with Barbie as some kind of pop culture phenomenon thing this summer is just like, it just blows my mind. It's like, it's light years. It's cinema. Barbie's not. So let's stop these marketing opportunities that Warner Brothers has taken. Oh, on that note too, apparently Warner Brothers Japan is really pissed off with Warner Brothers US because of the way that Warner Brothers US has been promoting the Barbenheimer experience. See Barbie and see Oppenheimer, and they've got Barbie on a poster with, even though they're two different studios, right? Oppenheimer was produced by Universal, but Warner Brothers is like, well, let's all help cross promote each other, having Barbie in front of like a mushroom cloud with Oppenheimer, completely oblivious of the fact that how many thousands of people died in Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Yeah, that's, you know, it's kind of insensitive.
Well, of course it is, but
then they did make the Godzilla movies.
The marketing teams this summer, and I think it's hilarious and appropriate that Warner Brothers Japan is telling Warner Brothers US, did you assholes even think about this? How, you know, this kind of marketing in Japan that went through both nuclear.
Oh, they don't do that. They don't think that way. They're just marketing people.
I like what Warren says. I watched
a blast. Yeah.
I'll still see it with you. It's. I'd like to see it again because I missed the first few minutes. We got there late. But yeah,
if you guys go, let me know. Maybe I'll join you with it because I haven't seen it yet. But don't feel bad if I'm not able to make it. I'm like, well, you know, I'll see it eventually. You know, I think Guardians 3 is on Disney Plus finally. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, so I might be able to get to see that finally.
I could not.
Although you probably hated it, right?
I started it and I wasn't interested. I know Art liked it, but I couldn't get the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I liked the second one. I was like, meh. The third one, I'm like, I don't give a shit. The first 15, 20 minutes in, I'm just like, I have no interest in the story. I can't stand the director to stick with it.
I had an issue with the Christmas special, but I'm like, okay, they're just kind of phoning it in. I'm like, whatever.
So what was I saw that. What was your issue? We'll go on a little detour here. I'm curious to hear what your thoughts were on it.
What, on the Christmas special?
Yeah.
It was a while since I watched it. It just had a lot of cringy moments to it. You know, I was like, okay, yeah, I knew they were gonna go and do the Kevin Bacon thing. I'm like, but it's like they went way too silly with it for me. I think it's like I guess that they felt they're doing a Christmas special. They needed to make it like the Star Wars holiday special was, you know, it's like totally family friendly-ish kind of a thing. Like,
yeah. Well, that's what they were aping, the idea of a holiday special around a big cinematic movie. As we're talking movies real quick, I'm going to share specifically my little Indiana Jones thing here, where I said I don't want to imagine that he got thyroid cancer after Dial of Destiny, because somebody shared something on Reddit that I reshared on my Facebook page that I agree with 100%, even though it was like maybe offset by the course of 7 or 8 years, because I was in high school when I saw Raiders. But here's what they shared. Finally saw Dial of Destiny, came out of the theater feeling melancholy and pensive. This is not me. This is someone on Reddit, but I can relate to what they're saying now, as I've had time to think, to really mull on this. Not going to rag on the film much. It's no Last Crusade, but I'd give it a good 8 out of 10. I definitely enjoyed it. Its themes of time passing and accepting the changes that come with it really hit home for me. Driving home, I couldn't help thinking about Indy's aging and coping with the changes going on around him and the losses in his own life. Now, this writer says, I was 9 years old when Raiders came out. I was 15, I think. 15, no, maybe 14, 15. And saw it with my dad, dead 5 years now. I was 12 when Temple of Doom came out. I was 18 and saw it with my middle school friends, my high school friends, who I haven't seen in 35 plus years. I was 17 when Last Crusade came out and saw it with my high school friends that I haven't spoken to in 30 years. I was in college. I was 36 when Crystal Skull came out, saw it with my wife. She's still with me, thank God. Can't relate to that at all. This writer says they're 51 now and saw Dial of Destiny alone. I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since I left the theater. When we were kids, we all wanted to be cool like Indy, and now seeing him as an old man and realizing I'm not exactly young myself really hit me. Mm-hmm. Knowing that this was almost certainly the very last time I'll ever see a new Indy film in theaters left me kind of sad. And I think that's like the best postscript to seeing Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Actually, something else here to share real quick. There's Oppenheimer. Now I am become Barbie. Now I am become Barbie girl in
Barbie worlds.
Yeah. So I also I caught this today, Ed. This is something here too. If there's any doubt left that law enforcement is more about revenue collection than serving and protecting, the Niles Morton Grove police hybrid cop car taxi is ready to fake you out. I passed by this on my way home.
Wow.
To do the show, and I did a double take. I circled back, and then I found pictures on social media of how Niles has got this car to fake people out for no other reason than to like generate revenue giving out tickets.
Yeah, to pull them over for speeding or whatever.
And finally,
it's annoying.
Finally, here is me and my dad and my sister, as I posted on Facebook. Couldn't believe Barbie was as great as it was. People took me seriously. I had people in the comments saying, "We loved Barbie too," and I said from the comments, "I can't believe some people are completely oblivious of my sarcasm." So anyway, just some fun stuff to share here at the tail end.
So so that wasn't too bad of a show. I considering my internet started to crap out, and then I had to flip over to another thing here. But we got through everything except for the final thing here. A final farewell to Paul Rubens in one of the best scenes that he's ever done. And it's absolute comedy in this Buffy the Vampire scene.
Movie or TV show?
The movie with Christy Swanson near the end of the movie. And where he dies because Buffy stabs him with a stake. I know, spoiler alert, right? Guys, this movie's 40 years old?
Oh my God. Can you believe some of these movies it seems like yesterday we saw some of these movies. It's crazy, man. Oh, Ed, too soon?
No.
I wish you died. Ooh, ah, ow, ooh, ooh, ah, ah, ah,
And then there's a post-credit scene.
Well, apparently he had cancer that he'd been hiding from his fans. He didn't want to bring people down, and chose to battle it privately. And hey, man, can't. I mean, obviously, he really wanted to. He didn't want people to be depressed. He was protecting his fans. So
yeah. So 70 years old, he lived to.
Wow.
And,
did you see his last Pee Wee Herman movie where they de-aged him?
No.
Yeah, it came out, I want to say 6 or 7 years ago. I showed it to my nephews, and I was like shocked. I mean, I thought, how can he do another Pee Wee movie? And they hid the fact that they were using CGI and de-aging technology. But if you looked online, you could see him on set visibly. You know, he was in his late 50s, early 60s when they made the movie, since he's just past at 70. And, dressed up in the outfit stuff, but they did all the CGI stuff to de-age him for his last Pee Wee movie.
Yeah. So catch, if you're looking for movies that Paul Rubens is in, he's been in Cheech and Chong movies. He was in the Blues Brothers and in the Chez Paul restaurant scene.
That'll be fine, pal.
Yeah. He's, obviously, he had Pee-wee's Big Adventure was his big break in motion pictures.
Oh, He also played the Penguin's father in Batman Returns.
Yes, he did.
Cobblepot's dad, yeah.
In more than one way. I think he was
on Gotham too.
He was on Gotham, and then
which any Batman fan should forget. Wow, let's do a Batman show without Batman. We'll call it Gotham. Oh, Batman Babies.
Yeah, he was the voice of the spaceship in Flight of the Navigator, wasn't he?
I don't know.
I can't remember. Or somebody doing a voice like him, but I think it was him. Yeah, he's done, and I think he's done a bunch of voice work for cartoons as well. So yeah, heck of an entertainer that guy was.
Very talented, very funny. Of course, there were those who decided to post his mugshot on social media. Like, they've never, what's the word?
He's had moments in his life that I'm sure he wasn't proud of.
We all do.
But
it's particularly insensitive that people decided that's what they were going to trot out, despite everything else, all the joy that he brought everyone throughout the rest of his life.
So that's our show for the evening, I believe. Is there anything else we wanted to talk about? I think we covered most of it.
Everybody, just go watch The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. The link is a few comments back. Ed shared it. Check it out tonight or bookmark it so you can watch it tomorrow. It's only 90 minutes. It's a great documentary on everything we've been talking about regarding things that would benefit humanity right now that will hopefully be a little bit more defined in the coming months.
And with that being said, I leave you with this.
Would you consider yourself a revolutionary?
Well, no, but I do believe corporations rob us of our dignity and independence, and that these systems must be ripped down, burnt down, or leveled by any force necessary. But that's just one little bear's opinion.
Good night, everybody.
Fuck this noise, man!
Get out. And don't come back until you've redeemed yourselves.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent. If you would like to be a guest on Chicago Corner, please email our host, Jerry, at chicagocorner.tv.